The other famous story that related to the buoyant force is about the tragedy of the Titanic. Okay, if you have seen the movie Titanic, that tragedy comes from the accident from the Titanic that hit by the iceberg. Okay, the point here is that the iceberg is a dangerous object in the sea, because when we see an iceberg, for example, if we see an iceberg above the sea like this, we can show that the whole size of the iceberg below the sea is much larger than the size of the iceberg above the sea. And we can explain this in terms of the buoyant force. Okay. Ice has a density slightly lower than water. Okay, so we have that the low of the ice is lower than low of the water. Okay, that's why we always see the ice float in the water. So if we have an iceberg like this, the weight of this iceberg, okay, the weight of this iceberg is equal to the density of the icebergคูณ the gravitational times the gravitational acceleration and times the volume of the iceberg, the total volume of the iceberg. And since if we see the iceberg float in the water, it means that the weight of the iceberg must be equal to the buoyant force from the water exerted to the iceberg, which is equal to the density of the water times the gravitational acceleration and times the volume of the iceberg under the water. Okay, so if we see this figure, it means that this is the total volume of the iceberg, but this is the volume of the iceberg under the water. Okay, so we have row of ice times G times total volume of the ice is equal to the row of the water times G times the volume of the ice under the water. These G cancel, so we have volume of the ice under the water to the total volume of the ice is equal to the flow of the ice over flow of the water, okay. And if we see the numerical value, we have that flow of the ice is equal to the 971 kilogram per meter cube, and flow of the seawater is equal to 1030 kilogram per meter cube. So it means that VW over V is equal to the 921 over 1030, which is equal to 0.890. What does it mean? It means that the volume of the ice under the water is about 98% of the total volume. So it means that if this is 98% here, so it means this is just 11%, right? So once we have, if we see an iceberg, for example, like in this picture, and you may think that this is big, but be careful, the real big part of the iceberg is under the water. So if you sail your ship near the iceberg, it is very dangerous, because it is very high probability that you will hit the iceberg under the water, because you cannot see it under the water. But if you see the size of the part of the iceberg above the water, the size of the ice under the water is much larger than what you see above the water. Okay, so that's why the Titanic is sink, because they sail too close to the iceberg and they hit to the very huge like iceberg.